Meghan's good works with the center might have been unnoticed by the world if the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had not chosen the center as one of the 12 charities they highlighted on Instagram. This is a quote directly from Lady Colin Campbell's book, and it tells you everything you need to know about the way Meghan approaches charity, not as a calling, but as a stage. This video isn't about tearing someone down, it's about drawing a very clear line between genuine compassion and strategic optics and asking, when the cameras are off, who's still showing up? Let's talk about it, but before we begin, here's the intro.
Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe.
In this video, we're going to take a closer look at how Meghan carefully crafted her public image as a humanitarian and whether that image holds up under scrutiny. I'll be starting with excerpts from Lady Colin Campbell's book, Meghan and Harry, The Real Story, where she lays out how Meghan's charity work was strategically framed to elevate her status. We'll also look at a few articles that echo or contradict that narrative. Then I want to contrast all of that with the way Princess Diana approached charity, especially the work she did quietly, away from cameras and headlines, because the difference between genuine service and curated service is everything. And while I was researching, I found something fascinating. In September 2016, sometime very soon after Harry and Meghan met, allegedly, Harry was walking in his mother's footsteps, literally. He returned to a hospital Diana had once visited in secret to comfort AIDS patients. That contrast between Diana's quiet compassion and Meghan's PR fueled image sets the stage for what we're about to explore. The St. Felix Center is a Toronto based charity that supports the homeless and vulnerable and was reportedly a place where Meghan volunteered quietly during her filming of Suits. Years later, after marrying Prince Harry and stepping into her Duchess role, the charity surfaced again, but not because of organic storytelling, but because of strategic selection. So the center was suddenly named as one of the 12 organizations close to her heart in the Sussex's Royal Instagram Initiative, an effort to spotlight charitable causes they claim to personally support. Shortly after this announcement, the center posted a now archived social media message thanking Meghan for her past secret visits. The tone implied this long standing, humble connection. But here's where it gets interesting. Meghan had not spoken publicly about the center until the end of 2019 when all of this happened. And we know what was happening during that end of 2019, what conversations were taking place. So I think she was doing it to try to benefit her coming post royal image. The visit was only secret until it became convenient to reveal it. There's no real evidence that her time volunteering had any lasting impact or continued involvement, only that it was later framed as being meaningful. This is a retroactive branding, and it conveniently aligns with her new global persona. So now I'll start reading the passages from Lady C's book that talk about how all of this came into play. It begins. Now, however, that she was in an environment where volunteering would enhance her stature and elevate her from being just another actress on the make to one who could pose as a caring person whose humanitarianism would earn her the respect of her new associates. Let's end the quote there. First of all, it is not lost on me that the word elevate is used here. This book was written, I think, in like 2022. So this is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Serendipitous that Lady C would use this word. But anyways, okay, so let's just pause there. She's not trying to be a caring person. She's not developing a passion for a cause, but she wants to pose as a humanitarian because it would enhance her stature. Now let that sink in. She didn't volunteer quietly or consistently for years and get recognized later. She stepped into a space where volunteering could be leveraged for reputational gain. And this is what we call performative compassion. This is not real compassion. This is career strategy. And that's PR humanitarianism. The passage continues. Meghan rediscovered the altruism that had gained her the approbation of Maria Polia, her theology teacher at Immaculate Heart, all those years ago when she had volunteered at the hippie kitchen. So, this is like a character flashback. It's the moment in a movie where the main character remembers her humble roots just in time to launch a rebrand. What this shows is that in the past, she was rewarded and she gained the admiration of her teacher for doing volunteer work. So, she's not doing it in order to help others. She just wants that admiration again. She was rewarded for it in the past, and now she's hoping to be rewarded for it again. And that reward could come in a professional way, but I think at the depth of it, Megan wants admiration for who she is. She wants to be admired and loved. She wants to be elevated and fawned over. Let's continue with the book. She asked her newfound friends to refer her to a community center and was duly introduced to the St. Felix Center, earning the regard of both those she helped and those who had helped her with the placement. End quote. Notice the language here. She didn't independently seek out a cause she was passionate about. She networked her way into the right kind of charity. It's not about connection to the cause, it's about connection to the right people. And the phrase, earning the regard of those who helped her with the placement, is telling. It frames her kindness as something to be socially rewarded, not simply done. She could easily open a website and figure out where she can go and volunteer work and do it quietly, but that's not what she did. She asked her new friends, who I believe at this time were kind of the movers and shakers on the Toronto scene, what Megan does. And the way she was trying to do that was through finding some sort of humanitarian work to gain the admiration of those that she was seeking to impress. Let's continue with the passage. Meghan's good works with the center might have gone unnoticed by the world if the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had not chosen the center as one of the 12 charities which they highlighted in December 2019 on their Instagram. End quote. And this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this because she did this several years before 2019 and nobody had talked about it. And guess what? She was going to make sure that people knew that she worked at St. Felix Center. So here it is. This is the moment where her, in quotation marks, private service becomes public currency. This wasn't highlighted at the time she volunteered because she wasn't really that famous at that time, but she came back to it years later. See, everything Megan does is strategic. She's very interesting in this way because she's both the architect and the arsonist. She builds the narrative carefully and then she burns it down on impulse. And here's the thing, if it's not impulsive, it's self serving. And if it's not self serving, she's not doing it. Everything is strategic until it's not. The selfish intent is always there. It's like half her moves are PR strategy and the other half is self sabotage and heals. Let's continue with the passage. St. Felix Center then published a sole photograph which had been taken of Meghan while she was volunteering with them and issued a statement. She volunteered on a regular basis in our kitchen as part of our community meals program. The charity ended their proclamation stating what fond memories they had of lovely Meghan, providing an insight not only into the way Meghan functioned, but also why people such as the Mulroneys and Trudeaus held her in such high regard. So, of course, the photo had to drop. And it's interesting because this is the only time we get a specific description of what she did, and it's still vague. It sounds nice, but the focus still remains on her presence rather than the actual impact of her work. Again, it's not about the cause, it's about the optics. And notice how now we're hearing name drops, Mulroney's and Trudeau's. So the volunteering narrative gets pulled into this wider social web. See, this is why powerful people love her. However, we have the gift of hindsight, so we see how all these relationships have played out. Now, finally, let's get to the last portion of the book that I want to talk about. By the time Meghan decamped from royal duties, her hitherto carefully curated facade of caringness had begun to shatter under the emerging pressure of conflicting behaviors, attitudes, and ambitions. Now, this is the fall. The mask can only stay on for so long. This classy, composed, compassionate Duchess, that couldn't hold up when the spotlight stayed on her. Because when public image is built on performance instead of consistency, cracks are inevitable. And here's where the narcissism comes in. This isn't just image crafting. This is textbook covert narcissistic behavior. Narcissists don't always show up as loud, flashy villains. Some build their personas around being gracious and deeply caring, but only when it benefits them. That kind of compassion isn't about others, it's about controlling how others see them. This curated humanitarianism isn't separate from narcissism, it's how it hides it in plain sight. So here's an article in People magazine that was released around this time. So let's see what was being said in real time. So this was published December 9, 2019, and the title of the article is Meghan Markle goes incognito to volunteer at Toronto charity in never before seen photo. The Duchess of Sussex was an active supporter of the St. Felix Center while living in Toronto to shoot suits. And you guys, just for fun, here is that picture. Look at that smug grin and the baseball cap. Look, she's trying to go incognito. No one will ever recognize her if they looked at this picture. I've mentioned this before, but I feel like she thinks that there are certain uniforms for doing certain things, and doing volunteer work in urban places involves wearing a baseball cap. So that's why she wore them during the fires, in my opinion. As part of her uniform. And there's a different uniform if you're volunteering in Africa. She has this idea in her mind of what things are supposed to look like, and it places emphasis on the wrong things. And I think we can say that about Megan. She places importance on the things that are not that important while completely forgetting the things that are really important. The article begins the St. Felix Center, a charity focused on helping vulnerable members of Toronto's communities, was chosen as one of the 12 organizations Meghan and Prince Harry will follow on social media this month in an effort to bring attention to charities that help those most in need. To celebrate, the St. Felix Center shared a never before seen photo of the Duchess of Sussex volunteering in their kitchen. Wow, this is just coming to me. Doesn't this sound like a transaction? So, first of all, how nice of Harry and Meghan to follow an account. Minimum. This is bare minimum that they've done. And in exchange, St. Felix Center is going to make sure that Meghan is seen as this person that worked there. It's so transparent. Okay, everyone. So now let's shift gears and talk about Princess Diana. Diana was different. She didn't just support causes, she lived them quietly. And that's what I want to highlight here. I'm going to go through two really quick articles that highlight Diana's true inner beauty. So, this first article was written in 2017. It's titled Princess Diana's Secret Visits to HIV and AIDS Patients. There's a good reason Princess Diana will be forever remembered as the people's princess. She would arrive unannounced at centers without any media presence to spend time with the patients, offering them comfort and compassion. Ian Green, chief executive of Terence Higgins Trust, recalls Diana's covert visits to the London Lighthouse AIDS Center. We've heard stories of when the princess would pop into the lighthouse with no media to spend time with people who were very ill. Her compassion and desire to comfort people was inspirational, he said. Princess Diana was a true champion of HIV awareness. She brought passion to the cause and did things that were truly remarkable. She used her status to do her utmost for people living with HIV and our charity. It's just absolutely beautiful, and I'm tearing up thinking about this because I don't have the strength to do something like this. I don't know why the HIV/AIDS cause is such a sensitive topic for me. I haven't been personally affected by it, but there's just something about how I don't know how to describe it. My favorite band is actually Queen, and I admire Freddie Mercury a lot. So I think it might be partly seeing how he deteriorated, and then also hearing about how people were scared of touching and comforting people. Isn't it very similar to what we experienced in 2020? Just don't go near them. It might be contagious. It's just horrible. And that's just the thing with Diana because of this right here. This article is titled The Single Gesture That Saw Princess Diana Break Down Barriers and Change the World's Attitude Towards AIDS. On April 9, 1987, Diana opened the UK's first purpose built HIV/AIDS unit, which exclusively cared for patients infected with the virus at London Middlesex Hospital. Without gloves on and in front of the world's media, Princess Diana shook the hand of a man suffering with the illness. It was a move that publicly challenged the notion HIV/AIDS was passed from person to person by touch. Instead, Diana believed the condition was one that needed compassion and understanding and not fear and ignorance. And here is that image right here. Princess Diana shakes the hand of a patient with AIDS during a visit to London Middlesex Hospital. So we can see here that Diana's just different. She made secret visits to hospitals treating AIDS and cancer patients. She entered through side or back doors, no press, no fanfare. She met patients alone without handlers or cameras. When she visited Harlem Hospital in 1989, she banned photographers from following her inside. That's the difference. Her legacy wasn't built through branding, it was built through presence. And here's that article I found that made all of this hit even harder. This article was released September 14, 2016. So this is the day before Harry's birthday. And it's titled Prince Harry Makes Secret Visit to Hospital Where Diana Famously Comforted AIDS Patients. Prince Harry has always felt a desire to follow in his mother's charitable footsteps, and last week he paid a secret visit to a hospital in East London. Princess Diana would often visit hospitals and meet AIDS patients in private, completely unbeknown to the press, and last Friday, Harry managed to do the same. This is the reason why I wanted to bring this up today, because this is such a stark contrast, to what we're seeing, I feel, nowadays, especially based on the events of last week or the week before, I forget. You all know which one I'm talking about. So, this hospital is the same one where Diana famously shook hands with an AIDS patient and kissed him on the cheek. Okay, so then during this visit, this article says that Harry remarked that he couldn't believe how his mother, Diana, managed to sneak in without the press knowing. Diana made a total of around 17 visits to Mild May, 14 of which were in private. The article continues to say that she used to sneak in and out unknown, and nowadays with Twitter, there's no chance. I recognize that there's difficulty in doing these things in secret nowadays, but what we're talking about is intent. Even in today's world, Diana would do her best to not be seen. Meghan and Harry are the opposite. Meghan highlights this organization she worked for years ago. She had to make it be known that she had done this good work years ago. And we still don't know what work she did exactly. It's very vague. And another thing I want to ask is in 2016, this was September 2016. So allegedly, Harry met Meghan in July of 2016, allegedly. So I wonder if at this time, allegedly 2 months after he met Meghan, was he still walking in his mother's light? Was he still following Diana's legacy, not just in name, but in approach? We see a completely different Harry now. Charity has become packaged, is branded. It's like every appearance, every gesture, every cause is curated for press, monetized for brand deals, and folded into documentaries. And also, I want to mention, it's to push their secret agenda of suppressing freedom of speech. So that plays a lot in it too, that there's a lot of selfish desires in the charities that they're pursuing and their work in quotation marks that they're doing. And maybe we didn't always see what Harry was doing privately before. I've been reading about how there may have been scandals with Sentebale from the beginning, allegedly. And this was well before he met Meghan. So I don't know about any of that. But what is clear is that quiet dignity Diana modeled has been replaced with something far more self serving and performative. And that transformation didn't happen in a vacuum. So I'm curious to know what you all think. Please drop that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all of this. I'm especially interested to know in what you guys think about this Harry, in quotation marks, transformation. Do you see it too? Do you think Meghan played an influence over him and his approach to charity? Let's keep talking about it. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.